was a long old trucker for over a decade, driving through some of the most isolated stretches of road across the Southwest. Arizona was always one of those places that I felt an eerie connection to, something about the endless desert and empty highways at night. But nothing could have prepared me for what happened one night while driving down Route 85 between Buckeye and Gila Bend. It was late October, and I had been driving since early morning. Around 2:45 a.m., I was starting to get that heavy feeling in my eyes, so I turned on the radio to stay alert. But as soon as I crossed a stretch of road near the Sonoran Desert, the radio cut to static. Just silence, other than the hum of my truck and the wind. That's when I saw her. A young woman, maybe in her early 20s, standing on the side of the road. She was dressed in a thin, white dress, way too thin for the cold desert night. She looked completely out of place. My first thought was that she must have broken down, or maybe she was in some kind of trouble. Without thinking, I slowed down and pulled over. She didn't approach immediately, but I could see she was shivering. Her face was pale, and her eyes had this hollow, haunted look. I rolled down the passenger window and asked if she needed help. She didn't say anything at first, just stared at me with those wide eyes. After a long pause, she nodded and slowly opened the door to climb in. "Where are you headed?" I asked, trying to sound friendly, though my gut was telling me something wasn't right. She didn't respond, just sat there staring ahead, clutching her arms around herself like she was freezing. We drove for a while in silence. I kept glancing at her, feeling uneasy. There was something about her presence that felt wrong. I tried asking a few more questions, where she was coming from, if she had family nearby, but she remained completely silent. Then, out of nowhere, she spoke, her voice barely a whisper. "I need to get home." Her words sent a chill down my spine because they didn't sound natural, like she was forcing them out. We drove for another few miles, and I kept waiting for her to give me directions. But she just kept repeating the same thing, over and over, "I need to get home." The road was completely empty, no lights, no cars, just the endless darkness of the desert. Then I blinked, and she was gone. I swear to God, 1 second she was sitting there, and the next, nothing. The passenger seat was empty. I slammed on the brakes, heart racing. The truck screeched to a halt, and I jumped out, looking frantically around. There was no sign of her, no footprints in the dirt. Just nothing. I drove straight through the night, didn't stop until I reached Gila Bend. I told myself it was exhaustion, that my mind was playing tricks on me. But when I mentioned it to the guy at the diner, his face went pale. "You saw her, didn't you?" "The hitchhiker, she's been dead for over 50 years. Turns out, she had died in a car crash on Route 85 decades ago. People see her sometimes, always asking to go home. But she never makes it."